vaccine lack of confidence, vaccine hesitancy. I mean, what's happening at the Clinton Foundation? How are you helping to focus on the fact that still millions of Americans, millions of educated folks still don't want to get a vaccine, something that is so vexing to a group like this? Can you shed some light on that for us?
Yeah, thank you, David. I mean, we are doing a lot to try to help both ameliorate and respond to hesitancy, as well as to help reach out to people who are kind of currently in vaccine refusal. And I do think it's important to disaggregate those groups. So there's people who are hesitant because they have lots of questions about the speed at which these vaccines were apparently developed, and so they're worried were steps skipped. Questions about kind of what's gone into the vaccines. Do we really have kind of confidence in the integrity of the ingredients? Admittedly, also some kind of conspiracy theories around, are there microchips kind of embedded in the vaccines? Kind of, is this some plan for the government to, or some other authority to kind of track individuals? And so, there are kind of those sorts of questions, which I think, are very much on a spectrum, and yet kind of which have very real answers to them. And then there are the people who are kind of in the refusal group right now, who just don't think it's relevant to them. Often young people who just say, no, like, I'm not interested. If I get COVID, it's not going to be a big deal, which I think highlights another kind of failure of public health communication in this country. Or who think maybe in a couple of years when I just know more, you can't tell me that we really know enough. I'm not persuadable. So I do think, we just have to be, cognizant that there are kind of very different reasons why people may say, not now or not ever. And then, of course, there are kind of people who have been themselves, or kind of are part of communities that have kind of been mistreated, maltreated kind of by our healthcare system for generations. So, kind of how we address vaccine hesitancy in incarcerated settings has to be different than how we think about that in non kind of incarcerated settings. How we talk to kind of Black Americans, Indigenous Americans, Latinos, who kind of know that members of their communities have often been mistreated or even kind of manipulated and exploited by our healthcare system. So, I think kind of we try at the foundation to really help equip trusted messengers, whether in healthcare settings or not. We've done work with a number of different religious communities, including some of our Catholic partners, to really help ensure that kind of whomever is able to have a conversation really is able to preempt or to answer whatever questions people may have. And even for those who are currently in the refusing kind of group, to kind of message, like, the vaccines are waiting for you, and the vaccinators will be too, whenever kind of you are comfortable, and we are going to keep, reaching out to try to help you get comfortable. So we're just doing everything and anything we can, as I think, so many of us are in this moment. And then we're increasingly thinking about how we can engage in this work globally too, because unfortunately, vaccine hesitancy and vaccine refusal, are not just uniquely American challenges. And then the last thing I'll say, David, is just on a personal level. So kind of just need to be clear, this is me just speaking, as Chelsea, and not kind of with the Clinton Foundation or with the Clinton Health Access Initiative, is that I personally very strongly believe there has to be more intensive and intentional and coordinated global regulation of the content on social media platforms.
Totally.
We know that the most popular video across all of Latin America for the last few weeks, that now has tens of millions of views, is just an anti-vaccine, kind of anti-science screed that YouTube has just refused to take down. We know that often anti-vaccine content that is created in the United States, unfortunately, kind of flourishes across the world, kind of, through the pathways of WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. And we know that kind of, because I have tried appealing to kind of the leadership of these companies to do the right thing, has just not worked. And so we need regulation.
Well, I'm very glad you brought that up. And I hope that with your influence and the influence of the foundation, you'll continue